afternoon, our dear viewer of Civic Space TV, Women at the Frontline. My name is Monica Amoding. This is a program that we bring to you every Saturday. And here we bring to you women who have walked their journeys of leadership, of impact in society. Share it with you and hope that you can get one or two things, pick lessons, be inspired, especially the women that would like to see spread out to all places. Would like to see women in organizations, in companies, in public service, in civil society, in every, sport and sector of life. And that's the reason why Women at the Frontline here is brought to you every Saturday, so you can get such women being brought before you and hearing their stories of success. I have not been around. I've missed many of you on this program, but I'm here now. And thank you for being here. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for supporting us. We will aspire to keep bringing and identifying successful women. And also, not just at the top level, but also at the local community. Women who are causing change, transforming society in their various ways. I would like to invite and welcome Madam Acayo Opira, Jen, Gloria,
yes,
who is here with us. Relatively young woman, but very impactful in her life in terms of the advocacy and the work that she does. So I'd like to chat with her and capture her landmarks in life and see how other young people can learn a few things from you, Gloria. We'd like to welcome you to this program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for honoring our invite here at Civic Space.
Thank you for the invite.
How is the weekend and the week going on with the Kenyan election?
Oh, it sounds so scary, but I've loved the way they're handling it. Okay. So I think it's going well. Yeah, and so we are hoping for the best. We wish them all the best.
Wow.
Yeah.
You see, a lot of things are going on in Kenya, and Ugandans are watching with admiration, and they're like, we wish we could have such a space as well to freely express and engage.
True.
Yeah, and
True.
And I know all of us have been glued to TV to see what will come out of that side.
Yeah. I was having a crazy joke with friends. I was like, how does it feel to change leaders? You know, since I was born, we knew, in my village, we even had it like, we would say, okay, the Museveni of Kenya, we would call all presidents we thought were called.
Oh, Museveni.
Yes.
I think my children still think the same, that it's Museveni who is everywhere,
yes,
probably.
True.
Yeah.
So, we hope for the best.
We hope for the best for our countries and
True.
the East African region as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. Basically, what we want to do is to capture your life, Gloria, as a lawyer, as an advocate, as also a woman leader, because you have really, you are in the middle of so many things, and yet you have, not really aged that much in terms of leadership. So the key question is how you've been able to make it, I could say, big in that career path that you are in. But before we get there, for many of our viewers, they may not know, because we bring to them new faces, they may not know who this Gloria Acayo Opira is. But just maybe to flash back to your life, how your early life has been or was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Civic Space, and thank you, Monica, for hosting me.
Wonder.
I think I'm so excited about this opportunity to share my experience with people, and I hope it impacts in someone out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm born in a family of 20 children.
20?
My
that sounds...
father has like 20 kids. So
50 years ago, that's when we used to hear of such families.
They still exist in our communities.
Okay.
So, and for my mom being the first wife, we are 7 children.
7 children.
I'm the 4th born of the family.
Wow.
But being the 4th born, the name Acayo itself bore a meaning because I was informed at the time, the first 3 girls that I follow were all girls, girl child. And back then, the community did not embrace that.
At all.
So when my mom was pregnant with me, it felt like she's carrying another girl. So the in-laws were all over her. And she felt so sad. She collected her things and went back to her family that by then were settled in Gulo. So reaching there, that is how I got to be born in Gulo. But I'm by tribe, I'm a Junam from Pakwach.
Pakwach.
We grew up in Nebi. our early growth started from Nebi, but I happened to be born in Gulo.
Wow.
So my grandparents on my mom's side gave me the name Acayo, which means I have ignored. So they were picking
prophetic.
It from that,
yes.
you know.
But she ignored all the troubles.
Yes, she ignored the trouble because later on the husband picked her back and all that. So to some extent, I turned to be a blessing to them.
Of course.
Though they ignored stone at once.
Yeah.
So, and then in that kind of my growth, I happened to be a child who was also too stubborn, talkative, and annoying at the same time.
Of course.
So in most times, I was so playful. My mom would want me to do something, and I make sure I do it very fast, then I disappear because I want to go and play
with others.
So it's always my ears that suffered because she didn't know how to cane. The next thing you realize is she's pulling your ears and she's like, you don't listen, you get. So my ears kind of grew when
you believe that?
That is what I was told, because most times they would abuse me that your ears are as big as for an elephant in the family.
No.
So that was quite funny and was saddening because every time you mention my ear, I become wild.
Of course.
But at the same time, I was social because every time the relatives come around, visitors come, it is me that they bring on the forefront, sit and talk to them. Because even when others come to greet, when it reaches my point, my dad says, this is the girl I was telling you about. In others, they come knowing that there is that specific one who overtalks, who will talk. And indeed, others come to kneel and they greet, they go. Me, I start. How was your journey? How was everyone? How is this? Not being asked, but I just start doing the things on myself.
That was a sign that this would be an excellent person in life.
I think so. But, you know, for the others used to feel like, for you, why do you keep staying there when, you know, for us, we greet and get away? So it would annoy them. But again, I was also religious because in the community, I collected a section of young girls.
Okay.
We would go for liturgy dances in church, Catholic church. Every Saturday, I collect them. We go and we wash clothes for the priests. We clean the churches. And by that time in Nebi, we had Bishop Odama.
Okay.
He liked me so much, but I know now he doesn't remember me anymore. He liked me so much for that, to the extent that every time we would go for first mass, I come back, I make sure the kids that didn't go, I start leading a mass because I knew the procedures in the Catholic church. Under a tree. Then one time there was this old woman who approached us. She was like, okay, let me join you. She started praying. The next time she brought 2 others. Like that, then eventually the place became a place that people would gather to pray in. Wow! I called a catechist and told him, help me and be praying for these people.
So you were a church planter?
I don't even know, because now it was in 2019 that I met someone at my mom's, and she was saying that that very place has been gazetted as a parish.
Parish already.
Prayers are always conducted there, and they're going to construct a church.
Wow.
And the main thing I remember was when I went to Bishop Odama and I told him about the story, how I started there, and I told him that I need the children in the community to be baptized, and those who start their Holy Communion should also get Holy Communion. So he told me to mobilize and gave me one priest and told me, which priest do you want? Then I had this specific priest that would preach for us very well, Father Charles. I said, I want Father Charles. He came and baptized the children in the community in that very space. Children got their confirmation. I organized them and took them to church. They got their confirmation. So the place is eventually, you know, has become a church. Yes. Imagine. For me, that is something that I felt like was good.
That was a landmark in your life.
Yeah, it makes me so proud. Yeah, it makes me proud. And I got to know about it later on when I had already left my village, that indeed that place has become a very good place.
Wow.
And then I was also a very concerned neighbor, because many times we had parents that would overbeat their children, you know, village life. But every time I hear you beating your child, I walk up to you and ask, why are you beating your child? That he has overplayed, he took a lot of time. I was like, wait, I was playing with her. Me, my mom has not beaten me. Why are you beating yours? You get? So I would pay concern. Like, no, you don't have to beat. And I rescue the child and bring the child at our home. The kid sleeps there. Then we take the kid the following day.
Wow.
And then there are kids that, you know, for you people who grew in town, you don't know lice. They stay on the head. There used to be insects that would stay on people's head.
Crawling on your head.
Yes. Do you know them? It's called lice. They call it lice.
Yeah. The white ones.
Yes, they are white.
I grew up with those things.
Yes, they were on people's heads, especially if you don't take care of your hair very well. So in our community, it was so much, including jiggers. But every time I come across a child of that kind, I go to the parent and ask, can I shave this kid's hair?
Yeah.
At that tender age of, I think, around 10, I was around 10, 11 there, 12. I get the kid, come get a scissor, shave off your hair. Shower you very well, do everything, remove even the jiggers, and take you back to the parent. It wouldn't be very neat, of course, but I've done my part.
You know, sometimes parents fail to pick out these traits in children that indicate that they are leaders in a way, and they need to be supported and nurtured. So your life actually points out a few things that could actually direct people to tell that this kind of person would be something, you know, in life.
It's actually now that I realize I started the leadership earlier.
You did? Because
in my P6, I met the president, and I greeted him when I was in P6 after delivering a poem on Independence Day. I made friends with the Honorable Minister Musa Echweru.
Yes.
By that time, he was RDC of Navy. I know he doesn't remember.
I don't think he remembers, of course.
But in all the thing, I used to take courage because others would shy back. So as they shy back, I give it a try, even if not to perfection. But I was this kid that you want to be there, you know, and you want to give it your best. Even when people are saying they can't manage, I wanted to always do it. It would cross paths with other kids, and my parents would be like, one time you'll be harmed because you don't know what you're heading to. But nevertheless, I kept going.
You had an aggressive character.
Kind of, yes. I was too aggressive. I was radical. I would fight with boys. Every time they say, now you're my girlfriend, you know, they would go. So every time I hear you say, this is my girlfriend, I come and I fight you. So that was another thing. And it was so much on me as a child.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to just give you a hint of my primary time. When I joined my P1, my brother was in P2. I had my sisters in P3, P4, like that.
Yeah.
The first day of my class, the teachers gave us work, and in our village, you'd go and write under trees on ground.
On the ground.
So I went and I wrote. They marked me. I passed. I was excited. During break time, I met my sisters and I told them. So they told me, you know what, you're very bright. Now you don't need to even study P1. You should go to P2. You know, they got my one book. It was this visa book. They cut it into 2. They got the long pencil, cut it into 3, and told me go to P2. After break time, I went to P2. I didn't study P1.
Just like that?
Just like that.
How old were you then?
I don't even remember. 7? I think around 7.
Or 6?
7 years there. So I went to P2 and studied. I don't even know how I passed P2. I don't know how I passed P3. But I remember in P4 I repeated.
What happened?
I don't even know, because even I was too playful. I don't even know how I made it through. Because then from P4 to P5, they told me try P5. But I went to P5, to P5, P6, I had a 4th grade.
Wow.
P6 to P7, I had a 2nd grade with 13.
But now, the village school.
From the village. But now they took me from P6 to P7 to come and study in Kampala.
Okay.
It was so exciting. But reaching Kampala, they told me, you're going through interview. But I told my dad, if these people tell me to repeat, I won't repeat. I will go back to my village. Thank God I passed their interview. I got 86 in English and a 65 in math.
Wow.
The HM told my mom, you're lucky you have a bright girl. They took me to P7, but it was horrible.
It was horrible.
My experience was so bad in P7. The school was so discriminatory among Northerners or Northerners. By that time, they would call you a Chandiru. They call you a Mudugala.
Mandra.
Over what? They had all sorts of names. The teachers would come to class and even imitate how Northerners called their chapati sapati. You know? switch, you call it twitch, you know. It felt so terrible.
Dehumanizing to a child.
Very much. It was traumatizing that most northern kids would not want to identify themselves as northerners. But we turned to be only 3 of us.
In the
Two
whole
girls
school
were
or class?
Lugbara, and me, a northerner, I Dunam. So anytime we hear you abuse a northerner, we go for you.
Together.
3 of us. We warn you, and we tell you we shall beat you next time. You know, it was too much to the extent that the first time in class, the teacher just brought me to class and called on a name. Aweko Nancy, where are you?
Hey.
You know, receive your visitor. That was the introduction. So to them, they knew a northerner should sit with a northerner. So when I went to Aweko Nancy, the person she was sitting on, they were only 2 on the desk, was called Acayo. So the R's were all now together. That was so traumatizing for me. I didn't like the experience. It was so bad.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, we had to sail through.
You had to sail through.
We
Do you think that has changed in our community right now? In our
I really
schools,
hope.
in our, you know, I don't know. In schools, I think that was very common when we were growing up as well, generally. Studying in Kampala here and these schools, there was a lot of, I think, discrimination. I flash back to where I was as well.
I really hope that has changed because it's not a good feeling. It leaves you isolated. You feel like you're not fitting in the place.
In the society.
To the extent that even submitting in class becomes a problem because you feel like, okay, when I fail this answer, everyone is think it's because I'm a northerner, that's why I failed.
So we are not intelligent enough for what?
I don't really know, but again, we were active in...
the things teachers do, you know, unknowingly, you know, sometimes they don't know how it impacts on people's lives.
It's so terrible.
A school is supposed to be an all-embracing place where children thrive, everyone individually in whatever capacity they are in. Wow, that was not good for you. It wasn't
a good feeling.
So how did you move forward? Which school did you end up?
Forward, when I was now to join S1, of course later on I passed the P7 with also 2nd grade, 13. And then my dad was excited because at the time I was sitting for exam, they had Omeme. By that time it was UB, it was what? The power corporation by that time, before Omeme,
UEB.
Yes. Had chopped off power at home.
So you could not
on Saturday it was chopped. Monday I was supposed to go for PLE. And I happened to be with my stepmom. So I picked her lantern, put my power, started reading. She came and grabbed it away from me and said, this lantern is mine. You can't read using it.
Imagine.
My mom was around. I started crying. She went and bought for me candles. And I read with a candle. So when I passed, everyone was so excited because they were so guilty that I would not make it. To the extent that my dad would say, you know what? Even if you get 4th grade, we shall get you a place to fit in. That was it all the time. And for him, it was a big shock that he got excited. He took me for shopping.
Wow.
After we did the shopping, then people were now reporting. Then it comes back and tells me, there is no money for you to go to school.
Just like that?
Just like that. And out of the 20 kids, everyone was at school, including a nursery kid.
Hey!
But I sat home. The whole of the first term, I did not study S1. It's something that even up to now, he fails to explain why.
Why?
Then they took my auntie, or my maternal auntie came and took me away to Hoima in 2nd term, because 2nd term started and again the same thing was repeated to me. We don't have the money to take you to school. People were left with, I think, a month to finish 1st term. She came and picked me and took me to Hoima, St. Andrea. While in Hoima, I found when people were left with 1 week to do mid-term and it would contribute to end of term.
Wow.
I used the 1 week to copy my notes. But what shocked me was when end of term came, they were reading the best 10 and I was number 7.
Just like that?
Just like that. And I'm like, God, what is this? I just broke down in tears. They gave me a flask as a gift. It was so interesting. And then that is the time I regained again and I was like, I think I can do better. I kept pushing. I was active in the MDDs. I would undertake debates to the extent that when the school is going out of there, I go and I'm among the low class people. I'm the one to be taken to represent. So it was interesting. I was into leadership. I became the UNSA speaker, vice speaker of the school.
Wow.
I also was a dome captain.
Wow.
In S1, I was appointed as a dome captain. So others would call me the mama of the dome and all that. So I moved through, but because I was so consumed into the leadership and the co-curriculum activities, my concentration in class was worrying to all the teachers because I would perform, but they felt like you're going to S4, you need to give more time. But then the Bishop of Hoima, then he died sometimes back. He liked me that much that every time they would get visitors in the mission, he gets to the school and says, come and perform with your MDD crew.
Wow.
So we'd come and perform. I even told the teacher, no, you know what, we need to go ahead and we start maybe performing outside in communities. We played dramas that are informative on HIV, on child's rights and all these things. So I moved on. And one other thing I remember in S4 was one day when we were going for mock.
Wow.
And it was health science in the afternoon. But a mission, they were opening up a chapel for nuns. So I was told to mobilize my girls, we go and do liturgy dances. Remember, I had a paper in the afternoon, but I carried myself and went along.
Wow.
I danced, and then lunch came. I was so hungry. I want to eat, but I remembered the paper.
The paper is tomorrow.
I ran back, came, showered, went for the paper. It was already 1:30. I'm in the examination room, and wondering, trying to open books around. But it also shocked me that I made the best in that paper with 86.
How come?
So I think there is a way God made it that way. Because I was so much into God, I sacrificed my time for people, for God, and I always believed God keeps paying me back.
But what I pick from your experience from that, primary and secondary generally is the need for children to enjoy school to the fullest in all their extracurricular activities. I think they bring out the best in a child, but also it brings out the best in their brains if they engage in all those sporting activities and everything. It's not just about academics only that create a successful person in life.
That saying of work without play makes
Gloria a dull girl.
So
you explored school very, very well. You enjoyed your school.
I enjoyed my school life.
Yeah. And you balanced.
I balanced.
Academically, in the social environment and everything. Yes. And your leadership also stood out.
Very much. Because now at A-level, when I joined A-level, again, there was an obstacle. You're coming from a school in Hoima.
In the village.
I was in Maryland, high school in Entebbe.
Yeah.
So the first weeks, everyone is asking, which school are you coming from? When you mention yours, everyone is saying,
which one is that?
What is that?
Which school?
It was, again, another experience altogether. I felt so small. But for some reason, still, it was an Adventist school, and I got engaged so much in school. And balancing, like you just said, I believe when you balance your academics with play, you remain sharp.
You remain sharp. I have to take
and
this water.
And people shouldn't be into their books all the time. Me, I've never been too serious with the books. And I keep wondering how God does it for me.
Yeah.
So, first term S5, I got a bursary.
Again?
After performing, yes. And that is when I gained respect. Now they realize that, okay, this village girl also is something.
You were so lucky throughout your life.
So, my HM, Mr. Segawa, Dr. Segawa, told my mom, you're lucky. This girl came, I think even the teachers themselves have that perspective that when you come from a rural school, you can't compete.
You can't compete with the others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was funny, he made a comment which was innocent, but it's now that I realize, like, what did he think then? Because probably they thought coming from that side, you wouldn't have been at this level.
Okay, yeah.
Because he said, you're very lucky that you have a bright girl, even if she had the other background.
Wow.
From a rural school.
A rural school, of course. That's what he meant.
So That was the second time they're giving me such a comment also. So I felt like, okay. But for me, I felt like he's praising me at that point. But it's now that I realize that I think they have it in their mind that it can't work out. But God sailed me through, like any other child. I went through my secondary and then joined university. And at this point is when my dad said, I used to admire accounting so much. And I wanted to do accounting. But at childhood, I would say I want to be like daddy. My dad is a magistrate. He's a chief magistrate, but he's retired now.
Okay.
So I used to admire his career. But as I was growing up, I realized that, okay, I did accounting all levels, so it felt good to do accounting. But not choosing course, I think a role of a parent is very important. Because now, whereas I wanted to do that, he told me, look here, throughout your time you took on leadership unknowingly. I think you can sail better this direction. And because I got 21 points in S6.
That was good.
So he said...
Out of 24?
Yes, it was 24, 25.
At that time, 25? Yeah.
I think 25.
Yeah.
I got 21. So he told me, go and do law. And I felt like, Daddy, law now, 4 years, all these things is like, look here, 4 years is nothing.
It's
Before
short.
you know it,
it is done.
It's done. You have to be patient.
Yeah.
What are you rushing for? You're still young. That was the advice he gave me. And I think it's something that the listener should take seriously. You need to be so patient in life. Because a friend of mine who had 23 points was like, how do you go for law? 4 years. You don't want to enjoy life. That's what she told me. But I finished the law school. After the 4 years, performed very well. And after my performance, because there is pass, then second class lower, second class upper. The best had a second class upper with something, and there were a few students.
That was Makerere, right?
Makerere. So me, I was among the second class lowers, which was still a honors degree.
Which is a honors, yeah.
Yes. So when I passed with all the confidence, and then I remember there was pre-entry. For LDC now.
By then, it had already been introduced.
Yes.
Okay.
It was there. They introduced it a year, actually on our year. So with all the confidence, I discussed for people, went and did the pre-entry. Results came out and I had failed. For me, there is nothing that hurt me in life like that one. In my academic career. You know, I believed I never failed.
Yes.
But it was a turnaround this time. And that is when I started seeing life in a different direction. It made me realize,
you know, the pre-entry exam is assumed to be like a balancer, an equalizer. Because every child comes to law school thinking they are the best academically, but then you meet others who are sharper than you perhaps, but you all have to be brought to one level.
It was devastating.
I know.
I almost developed high blood pressure.
I know.
You eat, you don't get satisfied. I felt like that was a shutdown to my career.
I know.
My dad told me, go and do masters.
Why? Before doing LDC? Because you had to wait another year.
Because I was depressed.
Of course.
Psychologically, I didn't believe in myself anymore. I was so depressed. But the good thing that I did after my law school, before I even finished my papers, I told my friend, I had a very good friend, very, very good friend. He was called Wilfred Opira.
Oh, is that the Mr. Opira
now? By that time, he
was
wasn't a boyfriend yet. He was just a good friend. Okay?
Interesting.
But we decided and told ourselves, after this university, let's not go to the village. Let's get something to do.
Here in town.
Let's get ourselves together. We go and look for jobs. I got my papers, wrote application, forged a CV that had nothing on it almost, just academics. And started moving in law firms. On foot along the streets of Kampala.
All the law firms.
Every law firm looking for a job.
The spirit of aggressiveness in you.
I looked for a job. The shoes got done. And then every time you enter in a firm and they're telling you, who told you we are hiring?
Just like that.
We don't hire undergrads. We cannot hire you until you have LDC paper. It was so bad to see a fellow lawyer that should have promoted my career is telling me these things. Because all I needed, I was like, if you have vacancy, give me. If you don't have, let me volunteer. And they wouldn't give me that space. With the exception of one law firm that gave me a space.
Wow.
So immediately after the school, I told my dad, I'm not going to stay home because we relocated in Luero. I said, I'm going to go back to campus because I have to volunteer. He wasn't okay with it. It's like, young girls, when you start these things, you're going to get spoiled and what? He was so scared. And I told him,
concerned parent.
Yes, but I told him, Daddy, that is what I want to do. I don't want to sit home. And he refused to give me the money. But one thing that I think the listener, especially the youth, need to learn so much is having value for your money.
Value for your money?
Use the monies that your parents are giving you right now very well.
Plan for it.
Because for me, in my school life, my dad would give me money, but I opened a bank account.
With it?
I saved my monies to the extent that when he told me he has no money, I knew I had my money in the account. That is the money I used to pay for in the hostel, and I would use to go and volunteer with. I was not getting any pay. So it is the money that sustained me for like almost 2 months.
Can you imagine?
Meanwhile, I kept looking for a job. So for me, to the listeners, most youth nowadays, they actually have access to money, but you realize they have expensive phones of even 1.5.
Which they don't even know, you know.
It is either spoiled later on, or else it's stolen.
Bought by another person.
Bought by someone else's money. Why don't you keep your money and make it to a valuable use? For me, that is what I did with my money that my parents would give me. I rented, I saved, I ate, I volunteered.
You hustled. People think that word is bad, but hustling is, of course,
for me, it is positive in its way.
It's positive in a
because
way.
It shows that someone is recognizing you're doing. So it was also good that in my mind, I just had it that way. That is why positive thinking is very important. Right now, most youth don't want to volunteer. We look at, you know, I don't blame you because the cost of living is so high. But if you have a parent that
is supportive,
take those
I'm glad that your parent, and especially your father, was very supportive.
Yes.
Most of the women I interview here, any successful woman, the hand of their father in particular was very strong in their lives.
Yeah.
I could see that as well in your life.
My dad, for him, he believed he's the only one who can take care of his girls, not anyone else.
Not any other.
So even his advice of education used to always be, you see those boys there, they're going to pick you, use you and dump you. So he was afraid for us throughout and protected us.
But I wonder what happens to mothers, single mothers and women who don't have father figures in their families. How do we, you know?
I think it's a very hard growth. I really think because
for the girl child especially,
I've met several single women, have interacted with them, I've supported so many of them, especially those ones who have many children and have been neglected. I even took them to police to report their cases. So it's devastating when you hear their story. It's not a good feeling.
It is not.
It's not. And even if the parent has money, to some extent, it impacts on the child. Because at school, kids talk about their mom and their dad. So if you are this one that you have only your mother in your life, I think in a child's mind, it starts running around, okay, where is my dad? What happened? And all that.
It creates that esteem issues.
But co-parenting is important. My mom would embrace us in a different way. She nurtures us. She tries her best to always put us in order. Because my dad, being a magistrate, he was always
on the move.
So we grew so much with our mom. But she was so positive.
Wow.
And she believed in us. And she was so tolerant with us.
Okay, you know? Now you were in your career, early career. Why? Of course, did you like the lawyering itself? Was it your father's choice? Why lawyering in particular?
I loved it because already when he explained it further, that what you were doing before, the rescue you were doing to those kids.
Yeah.
And the way you command your life, I was so aggressive in that. For me, it's either a yes or no. You're either right or wrong. There is no way both. So he said that direction is what you get in law. And if you want to help people better, take that direction. But of course, I'd already admired his work.
Okay.
But I didn't understand it so much that, okay, this is the law and the journey is here. So he put me in order to make me understand. So because most kids nowadays, if parents want you to do something, they don't explain it into details.
Yeah.
That's why children do courses that they don't even get pleasure in, they don't understand, and even starting the career journey becomes very hard.
On a wrong foot.
On a very wrong foot. So for me, by volunteering in those farms, I also knew that it's already a path for me to grow. That was a ladder. And that's why I don't encourage people to underrate this kind of voluntary jobs. Because as you get busy, it also keeps you away from being idle. You keep very sharp and you keep going. So when I was volunteering, I got another job in another farm, and I was being paid only 240,000. But I was so hardworking. In that the bosses would appreciate the work, but they never increased their money.
That's how bosses are, I guess.
It's so interesting. But I think the one main thing there is to keep going, keep committed, because the more you keep working, the more you're learning, you know. At the same time, the commitment you put someone is identifying you. Because I'm glad to say, even those law firms, especially the one I worked for 240. Even now, last time I told one of the partners that I want to come and I'll be giving you some small service.
Okay.
If you have a case, just keep sharp, because I'm in civil society.
Right,
and he
now,
said, that is okay with me, because now he has recognized what I did before.
In the past,
way back. So I think that is what we shouldn't ignore. But when I got this job in law firm, I worked, I think, for around 4 months. I kept looking for more job, and I got a job with an organization in northern Uganda. And it was dealing with women and children's rights. And that is where my main career started from.
I am quite curious why female lawyers, after graduating actually from law school and then LDC, most of them end up with organizations.
Civil society.
I feel that you have left practice on its own to men. Is there a challenge? Why? That question. I'm a newcomer in the legal fraternity, but I find it really strange that women are not in practice. It's very few women who are in practice.
It's good to always do what you love.
Okay.
I love litigation. But I feel I can give more to the community, in civil society.
Okay.
Because in litigation, you know, the frustrations, the too much time that it takes to get justice. I'm not too patient with that. Because when someone has problems, I want it to be solved there immediately. And then. I want an immediate solution. And the judicial system in Uganda doesn't give me that pleasure to see that justice. We are always advised not to get emotionally attached to our clients' cases. But for me, when I want justice to be done, it's what I want.
Personal.
It becomes personal, and I get frustrated if it doesn't
Especially
happen.
when it deals with the bodily integrity of a person, women or children. It's
so like the way I told you, I helped single mothers to go to police, report their cases with someone, their husband, they make commitments and start supporting. Now if you go to court, it's going to take forever.
It will take a while.
Someone needs an immediate solution. And you're there dealing with the case, you are the journey, you're giving them the next year when we are just in August. So it doesn't work out. But it's a very interesting field. And I even loved it more because after I did my master's in gender at Makerere University, it gave me a push to the civil society world. I was by the time I was going for master's is when I got a job in northern Uganda. So it was so hard to also balance, come back. I had an understanding both at once, but later on they changed another coordinator that was so bad and was against me so much. And at one point he made a comment and said, if you want me to leave you alone, you know what to do.
Insinuating what?
Never explained, but for me, I figured out something
else. It was
else.
a male, so
because
he
called me all along from northern Uganda to go to his office and we settle. You know, because every time he would come and wouldn't find me in office, the guy would write a letter to everyone, the board members and everyone to know, and the owner of the organization that I'm not in office. And yet I would schedule myself to the extent that from Monday to Wednesday, I'm done with my office work.
Maybe he feared you.
I don't know what his problem was, but for me, it showed me that that is how the patriarchy world begins.
Of course.
Even when at workplaces, a woman has that challenge we go through, especially with the male boss. They want to still pull you down, even when you're very much capable. Because I didn't see being in office as the only issue.
Full time.
for me, work delivering was the main thing. And so he gave me a choice of either you leave your master's course or you leave the job.
Wow.
And I was only 2 months to end the course. So my dad said, you can't take that choice. You have to leave the job. I was 2 months to end the job and 2 months to end the first contract of the first year.
Wow.
So I left, concentrated.
So now you are here, Food Rights Alliance. Yes. You are doing advocacy, you are doing lawyering, you're doing representation, small here and there. I want to just capture your work in the Food Rights Alliance.
Now, in Food Rights...
When did that start? What have you been doing? What is the impact? What can we draw lessons from there?
I joined Food Rights Alliance in 2019 as a project assistant. But like I said earlier on, commitment to your work, people recognize your value. They do. We were working on a land project, but the base that I set before working in the rural communities gave me a step up. And with the law background, it gave me a step up. So it's Food Rights Alliance. We were working on equitable access to equitable land governance for everyone.
Land governance.
We did land governance, and because I did
not food as we hear.
You know, there is a big nexus between food
and land.
Okay. Because at Food Rights Alliance, when we are creating the nexus or the linkage, we create it in a way that when you take away, because most of our rural communities survive on land, okay, for livelihood, for food security, and for everything. So when you take away land from someone, it's like you have ripped them off the dignity. You have taken away their access to livelihood because they cultivate this land, and that is where they survive from. That's how Food Rights Alliance is so much interested in land rights. So we don't grow food in the air. So
you're doing advocacy.
We are doing advocacy.
And working how wide and far?
So now we are a national organization, and we work through different members. Okay. We have members of around 47 of them who have subscribed to the member, and the Food Rights, it's a secretariat.
Oh, yes.
So I work with the secretariat based in Mengo. So we are ensuring access to sustainable, safe and nutritious food for all. So in that way we do advocacy. We're looking at food governance and justice. We are looking at consumption of safety foods, and then many others, and consumption, marketing, and all that. So in our career, we are doing policy advocacy, because whereas food is something in the garden, we do believe the policy has to create the environment for people to be able to produce food and to be able to consume it in adequacy, not just small, and to be able to consume the safe food. And these are issues that are supposed to be debated at the national level. Okay. Because the policymakers sit up there. That is why we think if the food policies are not creating an enabling environment, then food distribution might become difficult. The food system might be scrambled down, and then at the end of the day, we are not able to have the access to the food, affordable food for everyone. So that is what we are doing. And in Food Rights Alliance, I'm working as the programs officer. I head the food governance department. And the rank that I admire and liked, and it was because imagine from project officer to program coordinator. Yes, and that is why I really emphasize commitment to work. No matter what, commitment, because someone notices your capability and pushes you out there. So in our line of work, I think we take pride in first and foremost mobilizing the different civil society on the issue of food governance in the country. I think every time you hear issues of food, if you watch TV strongly, you realize my boss is always there, Miss Agnes Chirabo.
Oh, Chirabo.
Yes. Yeah. So people even call her the food lady.
The food lady.
So
we were with Chirabo at advocacy at initial stages about 2004, when we were doing poor policies with Uganda Debt Network and many others. She used to be a very vocal person around agricultural policies.
She's still.
Before she then also moved on to Food Rights Alliance.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, the agriculture, we do now policy on agriculture and food. We are championing that agenda in this country.
Wow.
And there's so much that I've learned from her throughout. And among which I think we can take pride in the different policy propositions that we have made to the Ministry of Agriculture before floor of Parliament, to the different committees that have been adopted into the different ministerial policy statements. And then there are also policy documents, for example, the National Agricultural Extension Strategy, that there are propositions that we make, and it's adopted wholesomely. The way you put it is how you find it on the document.
So from the way you are talking and engaging, you seem to be enjoying that job and that position.
Much.
Why? Because probably the impact, because you want solutions to people, you want to feel that impact. So I just wanted to capture a little bit of the impact of Food Rights Alliance this far. What do you feel you are proud about as an institution that is directly the result of your work, you people?
As an institution, right now, if we see the country standing up to now mobilize themselves around the food agenda in the country,
you think so?
It makes us proud. Because
in our homes we just cook. You know, Ugandan will say, there's no nutrition, dieting, and
we have projects that are running around that. And like I said, we work through members, just that sometimes the issues are not documented. But our members are making immense impact in the community level. Okay. Because now the issues that they give us from community is what we table to shape policy at the national level. I want to just give an example of, you remember 2020 when COVID-19 came on?
Yeah.
Every time the president would sit and the ministries would talk, it is SOPs, keep clean, wash your hand, do this and this. And I remember when Chirabo came and told me, Gloria, look here. These people are telling us sanitize and do this, but they have forgotten that this is a disease of the body. We don't just need a physical mask, we need the inner mask. That was our communication.
That was wonderful.
Write an open letter to the president, we call the press, and we make sure this information is sent there, that eating of nutritious food is going to give us the inner biggest mask that we are looking for.
Wow.
But for us in 2021, when the president sat to talk about COVID-19 for the first time, again in 2021, the first address he gave, on his paper, issue of food was there. And critical. If you notice in 2021...
Is that the time we were slicing the portion and what?
So it became important.
Measuring the portion and...
Yes. Yeah. And you realize that at that point, that is when... that's why we say as Food Rights Alliance, the issue of food is debatable. So when we brought it on the open and the president took it up, 2021 treatment to COVID-19 became mostly
nutrition.
Food.
Yeah.
That was the agenda we drew out. So for us, that is how we table it. So most times you see, even if the ministries come out to pronounce this is it, they've carried information from the civil society somewhere. So that is how we get joy into that. Rallying people, coming up with the information, mobilizing agendas that are not even in people's minds and making sure they're tabled out there.
Wow, that's
for us, that is powerful.
Proudly an outstanding output, because one would wonder what Food Rights Alliance is all about. And of course, we want to see how we are impacting society. And we are making a case here that where there are women, we need to open up so that women can be everywhere, because they have tangible value addition, impact. We want more women everywhere. So your organization, you as an individual, so that impact is very important. And for a young person who is watching and they're wondering how they can grow their career as well, to where you have reached, because now you are almost a deputy to your ED, I believe. That's my assumption at that point. So I'd just like you to draw out a few lessons that have kept you going in your life. You know, just one or two things here and there that I can benefit from, or some other person.
Going forward, really, I think one, being obedient.
Obedience.
To a young person out there, your first step is being obedient to instructions and to your parents especially. They are full of don'ts, but normally it's for our own good. That is one.
Yeah.
Two, you really, really need to be a patient person in life. If you're patient, things follow you. No need to rush for money. No need to compare yourself with others, what they have. But take yourself as you are and keep going. That is something that they really need to look at. Have value for your money. Put your money where you can see.
Take a cent all over. Do you understand
Surely
that one? You must have learned Luganda by now.
That's why I'm translating it in English.
Okay.
My Luganda accent is
in my so. Bikakika punu neiteijo.
In my language is Ketsente Kamine.
That one even sounds better.
So that is another thing that I think we need to take up. And then develop the spirit of not giving up.
Never giving up.
I told you I failed pre-ent like 3 times.
Oh, don't say.
But I just joined LDC in 2020.
Recently.
I completed my LDC.
I'm so humble that you can share that with somebody out there. There are so many people struggling with that issue of failure at law school.
Yes.
Yeah.
After like 8, I joined it, let me say, after like 8 years.
8 years.
After the failures of those pre-entries.
Persistence.
But when I went back, I was now balancing work, marriage, the children
that come,
and the school.
And school.
You know, to the extent that at one point my husband said, let's take the kids to your mom. Go and stay in the hostel.
What?
He was so supportive. I stayed in the hostel. My boss was very supportive, and to bosses out there, be supportive to the career direct path of your
staff. Yeah.
I went, studied my LDC, and passed it with a first class. After now, I still wonder how I did it.
After failing 3 times.
3 times.
But passing with the first flying colors.
And even when I was going, I knew this LDC is terrible. I can't make it. Good, I deserve that 5.
Wow. Yeah.
That's why I think you don't need to give up.
No.
Your time is always the best time.
Yeah.
You have that time that will come and you'll really excel through. And don't compare yourself with others. I had so many colleagues that made it and went through.
But where are they now?
But they're not even in the level that I am right now. Because
of life and society.
They are not. So your path is different from
others.
And
you walk your own journey.
In this journey of civil society, I've traveled the world. I've had the opportunity to share, like right now I'm doing. I've faced MPs. I've met these other people. I've met especially the vulnerable people that I've worked so strongly with. I remember the times that I was in the Albertine working that rural village, and everyone was like, what are you doing there?
In that village.
But I am proud to say, out of the 128 cases, I mediated 108 cases successfully.
Wow.
Peace,
but did the Law Society or FIDA get to know that work? You would have been a medalist in one of the years.
They don't know because I don't sing it out.
Mediation cases, that's big.
I don't sing it out, and I love living that humble life. It's even rare for people to know that I'm a lawyer if I don't speak it out to them. And I think that is another lesson we need to draw in community. Because when you humble yourself, you're able, whereas people are noticing your hard work, but you're able to do much more, and you're noticed by that one.
But for us in politics, that's a big no, because you must talk about what you are doing. Otherwise, nobody will blow that trumpet for you. You must blow it for yourself.
That is very true.
Yeah.
But again, in that path that I think people need to take so much is you need to respect the people that come across your journey. Some of them are the ones that became the recommenders for me.
Yeah.
So if you're obedient and you're honest and respectful to people, there is a way they will treat you and will always remember you. And that is something that the youth should take up in their career path.
Consistency also was in your journey.
That was it. And then endeavor to always be focused.
Yeah.
Never despise any job, whether in rural areas, because that is where the journey is beginning. You don't know. Never. And make sure you're always true to yourself when you're given opportunity to work.
But also there is something satisfying with working with communities.
Very much.
As a human being serving other human beings.
Very much.
I see that on your face, and the pride with which you talk about your interventions in northern Uganda, Hoima, I don't know where.
I have passion for my community people. I have passion. And maybe just one more that I remember that I take passion in was the community in Changwale, that is Chikube district.
Yeah.
28 villages that were being evicted. I remembered when I championed them with the help of a few civil society, brought them to Kampala. We wrote a petition, gave to their MP, and she tabled it on the floor of Parliament.
Wow.
I even told the MP, go and meet the president over this.
Wow.
And it so happened she went and the evictions were halted.
Wow.
Though they were later again evicted, I think in 2020, that was in 2018 when that happened. So for me, I think it is so satisfying to give back to the community. Even you people in politics, when you give it back to community, that's when you're going to feel your real impact. You feel it. And when you see Agnes Chirabo stands up to tell the government, for you, when you make this decision, how does the local woman down there realize benefit from this?
Get the impact.
We need something more tangible. And I feel her when she says that, because it is more satisfying, even you in government, to see your people doing much better than just making the policy for them.
I mean, Gloria, your story is so humbling and yet very impactful at the same time. I wonder how FIDA missed out your story, but I'm trying to challenge FIDA, whoever is from FIDA, and you come across this video. These are women we need to celebrate, doing small things, but with a lot of impact. New Vision, Opira is out here. She has done so much, and yet we don't know about her in terms of mediation, impact in communities, advocacy for food, food rights in Uganda. But particularly in the law profession, the specific small advocacy interventions you do, you may not end up in court, but those mediation cases, those advocacy steps you take, they change lives.
Exactly.
And they reduce the backlog that court has, because rather than everything ending up in court, we sort them out at community level. So I want to really congratulate you, and I am admiring you and feeling good that you are out there as a lawyer. And I want to commend all the other female lawyers out there doing small, big things wherever they are.
Yes.
And that's what we want. That's what we are looking out, how we are impacting society in various ways.
Yes.
I would like us to wind up with any other thoughts that you have, because this space is really to grow leaders. We want to grow more leaders in whichever sectors they are, but also attract new ones, in different sectors, so we can have an equal society, benefiting from women's leadership and impact. I think it's very important.
Well, winding up, I always believe that women have a hidden power that themselves they have not discovered.
Okay.
You need to realize yourself, discover yourself, and move out. Because every time you give a woman an opportunity, she nails it.
Wow. I love that one. She nails it.
She nails it. She does it with passion, and she's truthful. She's honest. They do better.
They do better.
Take up your spaces. The time is now. It's
the time is now.
Yesterday has passed. It's now. Take up.
And this generation is luckier because so many barriers have been broken by the previous generation. So now we are at the table. Exactly. But we still feel women are not coming out and taking center stage.
I think that
from our point of view as women leaders, we still feel there is a gap. Because even then statistics are showing us the same. Yes. In terms of the areas, Gloria, where we have progressed as women in the women's empowerment movement, somebody could quickly pick out politics to say that is an area where we have progressed very well, or leadership, but we haven't. Because in terms of the percentages, it is one of those areas where we are least performed. We have tried in health because we are about to bridge the gender gap. We have tried in education, actually about 3% to go globally. Even in our individual countries, we are making progress in education, in health. But in education, in leadership, it's still a big gap. I don't know what's happening. Women I think, or feel comfortable that we have arrived, and yet we haven't. So I like when you say women should take up their space. And I just want you to speak finally to that issue, and then we wind up conclusively.
Yeah. You mentioned health, and the only thing that came into my mind was, have you noticed that even if they have not gone to school, we keep the homes clean ourselves?
Organized.
We have women birth attendants at home. Meaning we have that knowledge already. Just that needs to be awakened. And we need to punch the pride in the women and make them know that you're much better than just being at the home. And what you're doing, you're much better. And we should celebrate them in their capacities where they are.
Absolutely.
For example, at Food Rights Alliance, every time there is a Women's Day, we celebrate the women farmers. They are the ones that feed this nation because majority of them are the ones cultivating.
In the gardens.
So if you're able to feed the entire nation, then we should be able to feed our homes.
Wow.
We can do much more, but I think we need to create the enabling environment for them to realize that they're important in whichever angle they're
to celebrate
taking.
with Kajanja.
Celebrate them. Even you, the people in politics, you need to recognize them. We give them the spaces. Let's not crowd ourselves at hotels and discuss. Let's bring them, make them feel important, because that is the only courage they have to keep going. If she's a woman farmer, she has advanced with so many crops on her garden, bring her to speak up there.
About it.
And she'll get the courage to go and keep doing it.
Women
we
are
need
so
to be
powerful.
awakened. We are powerful.
I fear women.
And in conclusion, remember, even in the Bible, it was us who first took the bite of the
snake.
Meaning we took the first wisdom with us. You know, it is from us.
I've never heard of that.
And throughout the Bible, someone once time asked, how is it possible that Jesus and the mother were talked so much? What happened to Joseph?
Where did he end up?
We did so much.
The mother and the son, you know, that relationship kept coming out a lot.
Strong, and it talked, but Joseph did not say so much.
They play their part as well as men, but what we want to emphasize is women have
the power
to change society.
You can change the society, whether you are a lawyer, you are a farmer, you are a teacher. You can do so much more.
Wow.
You're better than what people think about us.
Gloria, you can talk on that, and I would be more happier hearing you speak on those things all the time, again and again. And, you know, I would be happy and smiling.
Yes.
Of course, would like to end at this point to emphasize what Gloria is saying. Women, when given opportunity, they nail it.
Exactly.
And I know there are many women out there who are nailing things, doing great things at the local level, at national, whatever level you are in. The impact is visible. We want to celebrate you and to encourage you and to support you and to say we have the power that it takes as women to change society. And we want to see more women neutralizing all spaces of society, because it's a value addition to our society. We haven't reached there, but we need to get to that point. So I want to thank you for being here with us up to this point. Until next time, when you have another person here with her story. We've been here with Gloria Acayo Opira. Send our regards to Mr. Opira, who gave you that beautiful name as you go home, and the rest of the family. And the team at Food Rights Alliance, Uganda. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for hosting
we've been blessed by having you. To our viewer, shalom. Until we meet on the next program. Thank you.